Hello everyone and welcome to the Encyclopaedia Bellatoria, a brand new series about heroes and villains contemporary and historical, primals and monsters of legend, as well as the martial traditions of Eorzea. We will make a thorough account for these figures, their roles and impact in Eorzea, their context throughout the Final Fantasy franchise, as well as their real-world literary, mythological or historical inspiration and background. Since his first appearance in patch 2.4 Dreams of Ice, Sir Aymeric has quickly become one of the most compelling and mysterious characters involved in the main scenario. It was his initiative that broke the political silence between Ishgard and the Eorzean alliance, which had stood for some 20 years since the Battle of Silver-Tear Skies. He accepted an audience with Alphinaud le Veilleur on the condition that he would be allowed to meet the fabled Warrior of Light. We soon learned that he is no ordinary dogmatic Ishgardian noble, but in fact the Lord Commander of the Temple Knights, effectively holding an equivalent station to Ralbon al-Din of Uldar. Furthermore, he tersely revealed to us that he is neither of noble birth nor political ambition, and that contrary to official Ishgardian foreign policy, he is incredibly pragmatic both in war and diplomacy, keen to perpetuate a discourse with the Scions and the Alliance. His first proposition was for a reciprocative relationship. The astrologians had foretold and were beginning to brace for the return of Midgard-Zorma, and the Scions were in a perfect position in Moderna to ward the warden, so to speak, and that in return Aymeric could ensure that the supply of aid from House Forton to Revenant's Toll would continue unchallenged. It was during the investigation of these aid caravans and the theft of a large quantity of crystals that Aymeric's knights and the Crystal Braves together uncovered the plot of Lady Iceheart, and the tunnels of Snowcloak that the heretics were using to travel through Coerthas unabated. Following the defeat of Shiva, the fateful encounter with Midgard-Zorma, and the purging of Nabriales through the noble sacrifice of Moonbreeder, the Horde began attacking the Central Highlands, and Aymeric sent Lucia with an envoy to the Rising Stones to implore the Scions to enlist the aid of the Grand Companies. Iceheart shattered the first of Danafan's collars upon the Steps of Faith, and despite the paltry aid offered by the Alliance, the Warriors of Light succeeded in defending the steps and felling the mighty Visap, earning a great debt of gratitude from Aymeric, whom had confirmed with the Azura Dragoon Astinian that Nidhogg had in fact awoken. Although Teleji Adeleji succeeded in sending Aymeric away from Uldar before he was able to bear witness to the coup, he and Lucia seemed to understand quite clearly what was about to transpire, and fortune has had it that following our own flight from the city, the Lord Commander has remained a steadfast ally and will no doubt have an important bearing on the story of Heavensward. Aymeric has been a fairly common name for a number of historical European figures: Gascon and Spanish troubadours, several viscounts of note, a medieval patriarch of Antioch who was supposedly responsible for the first biblical translations into a Romance language from Latin, and even a Count of Valentinois. Our own Sir Aymeric, however, alludes most closely to Aymeric de Narbon, a legendary Stoic knight of Charlemagne and a hero of medieval chansons de geste. Although Charlemagne's father Pepin the Younger annexed Narbonne from the Saracens for the Carolingian Viscounty in 759 AD, its geographical position saw that it remained contested territory. The epic Aymeric de Narbonne gives an account of how Charlemagne, returning with his host from Spain and the tragic outcome of Chanson de Roland, passes by Narbonne and offers it to whomever of his knights that believed they could conquer and control it. The young Aymeric was the only among the party that wasn't gripped with despair too deep to accept the challenge, and he succeeded in consolidating the city in much the same glorious crusading manner as the previous epics of Roland and Charlemagne. This epic, however, diverges from the traditional masturbatory dogma of this period's literary works. Once Narbonne is taken, the focus of Aymeric's adventures is not simply for the glory of God. He pursues the beautiful Germanic princess Hermengard and seeks to marry her despite overwhelming odds. Although this kind of tale seems cliché to us now, the knight Aymeric here possessed a greater depth of character than so many of his contemporary heroes of the chansons. The subsequent epic, Narbonnaise, accounts for the legacy of Aymeric as he sends 6 of his 7 sons out to claim their own lands, and a Saracen host takes advantage and lays siege to the city. attempting to crucify their youngest son before the others return and drive them out. The final ballad concerning our hero, Mort Aymeric, describes a great battle to retake his city. The pragmatic Aymeric and his knights disguise themselves as women in order to gain the advantage in this battle to save 14,000 maidens whilst fighting an army of vicious pagan centaurs. After presumably besting hundreds of these beasts, Aymeric is mortally wounded and dies a hero to secure a glorious victory. The parallels to Sir Aymeric here are clear enough. The comparable qualities in the Lord Commander were picked up by Alphinaud within moments of their meeting. Like his namesake, he is a man that breaks traditions without breaking principles, and displays a depth, conscience, and wit through his pragmatic attitude, which is extremely uncharacteristic amongst his fellow Ishgardian zealots. So given that the shape and qualities of Aymeric have been established, and presuming he is not playing the kind of double game that we have found several characters to pursue so recently, what implications might Aymeric's unique position have on the story of Heavensward? It might seem idle to speculate at this point, but I believe that Sir Aymeric will prove some kind of vital catalyst or pivot for the unfolding tale of Ishgard in the very near future. It might be that he and Lucia are able to see through the Ascian virulence that has settled over the Holy See, whilst all of his noble counterparts are blinded by their faith. It might be that he comes to understand that Elidibus has played no small role in perpetuating the 1,000-year war, and that Iceheart is ultimately seeking to build a faction of allied men and dragons that might finally end it. It might be that Iceheart herself is a hint of the capacity of the Warriors of Light now that they have been challenged by Midgard-Zorma to realize and seize true agency. It might just be that Aymeric, Iceheart, Midgard-Zorma, and a handful of his more prudent descendants will all rally behind the Warriors of Light and one day deliver Ishgard from the verge of oblivion. Time will tell. But this has been Encyclopaedia Bellatoria. Take a moment to like and sub and share if you're enjoying this series. Please feel free to discuss the content in the comments below or leave any questions or requests. I'm thinking carefully about which characters to cover next in this series, so if you have a favourite character you'd like to see me tackle, please leave a request. Until next time, I'm Ethys, and thank you so much for watching.